How's it going, everybody? Jody in here, and welcome back to beautiful Stormworks. We are in some awesome weather today because I have full control of it. Alright, so I'm going to take you through a new project that I've started and I've been working on. I'm really getting into this Lewis scripting ever since I worked really hard on that steam train, the steam engine, and I've just kept going. And this is my newest project. I already actually have a a freighter. Um, in fact, it's where are we here? I already have a freighter, and it's actually this guy right. Well, that's a version of it. But you can see if I just keep scrolling back and scrolling back, that's another one. But anyways, there it is. This one's actually been designed with an oil skimmer on the front. But I did not make this hull. I edited this hull a little bit here and there, but I did not make this hull. I made the bridge. The bridge is mine. But the hull is somebody else's design. And when I kind of look at it, I'm kind of like, uh, it is a nice hull. Don't get me wrong. But it's not what I'm used to. I'm used to Great Lakes freighters, and they have a little bit of a different shape. They're not so bold on the front, like this curve down on the front. And I think this is where I'm having some problems with this vessel getting up to speed. Is this weird curved front? Because in Stormworks, those kind of things actually cause issues, believe it or not. So I decided to do it from scratch, a new hull, a new freighter hull that was my own design, and I came up with this guy, and it's actually I made it available on the workshop. This is the actual freighter hull here, and I've made it available on the workshop. It is more of a flat front kind of design, a little bit of a tiny bit of rounding at the bottom, and then as it comes up to the lip, it's got a little bit of a shield at the front, kind of like the 1,000 footers that I'm used to. Of course, you can't make a 1,000 footer in Stormworks. We're kind of limited to, I believe it's like 157 meters or something like that. But I did my best. At the back here, I installed some propellers, just to make sure that everything was kosher, everything was built in when I uploaded it to the workshop. And you see these vents on the back. Um, Here's the interior hull, complete with engine mounts already in place, or not engine mounts, but engine shafts already in place. And this is a double hull design, meaning the entire ship has a basically a secondary hull on the inside, and that secondary hull is broken down. You can see there's a port and starboard. I have a wall going down port and a wall going down starboard. And if you keep going through the hull, you'll see that there's another one here, another one here. Actually, that's a really good view right there. If I can view through, you see that this hull is actually broken into many, many, many pieces, 20 in total. Each piece has its own um, system for detecting flooding and pumping flooding. And this system is the modular system that I designed, which is also in the workshop. The modular system, so it's a modular section, which is like here to here, and then you just finish off your piping. But it's a modular design that, and I should have took the charger off it because the chargers are garbage. Um, but it's a modular design. It detects whether or not there's water here in this area. It detects the liquid, and if there is liquid, it pumps it out. And what happens then is it pumps it to the next area. This area, there's actually two. There's actually two references. It'll pump it to this area, and these tanks here will detect whether they have something in them. And if these tanks have something in them, then these pumps activate. If the area is flooded, these pumps activate. So if there's a flood in this area, it'll turn these pumps on, drain it out, And if there is water in these tanks, which is what this basically pumps do, there's water in these tanks, these pumps will kick in and fire it further down the line. So we go on and on and on down to the back of the ship, and then at the back of the ship, what we have is it's the same design here, and then it comes in one way into some tanks. If these tanks are detected to have fluid in them, the pumps kick on and throw them up, 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 and out. So through a series of climbing pumps, because I want this water to move. I don't want it to sit still, and I don't want it to not be able to lift. So through a series of lifting pumps, it just throws the water out the side. So it works like a regular ballast system, or not a ballast system, but a like a sump system, kind of like a sump pump. Detects the water, gets it out, and as fast as it can. So this hull, and you can see here's the double hull design. You can see there's an air gap between the hulls. So this double hull design, I don't exactly know how air pressure is going to work on it. It can pull, like, the pumps have the capability of pulling air from the other sections, and the rear section does have a vent. So ears open. I haven't tested it. I haven't flood tested it yet, but I'm pretty damn sure the hull design can survive quite a bit of critical error or injury to it. So if you get a blast of weapons fire down this side and it's leaking on this side, this side here, back here will be fine, and the other side will be fine because it's just the area where it hit that's going to have the leak. And as you can see, like I said, it's not that big of an air gap. It's a very fairly thin air gap between the sections, so it's enough that it's a barrier from the bottom if you run into something or run aground, and the side if something hits you on the side, runs into you, whatever. And then of course you have your inner hull, um, which should be protected from flooding. Should. I say that with confidence, but uh, I know there's people in Stormworks who can just throw shit at this and destroy it. So, and any normal interactions, you should be fine. But anyways, this has been uploaded to the workshop for anybody who wanted to use it as freighter hull. And now I'm going to show you what you can actually do with it, because I've been working on this bulk carrier for a few days now, and this is basically what I got. Now, another thing I should mention is I have never actually had a boat run off an actual engine. Usually I'll have it run off an electric engine and have some kind of generator, or, as before, I would use the glitch engine or the glitch generator to give me like unlimited power, and I would just, make ridiculous electric ships or electric vehicles, electric cars, I would do everything electric and just tucked a little glitch in there somewhere. This is my first vehicle. I'm gonna say vehicle because the steam engine I used or the steam train I used a coal-fired boiler system. This is my first vehicle that I've installed the modular engine to. And I believe some of you were waiting for this because when I had the generator design, I was messing with the generator design. There were a few comments that were like, "Hey, I can't wait to see you put this in a vehicle," and I've done that in a big way. So I'm just going to start you off on the front of the ship before we start getting into the inner workings. So I have fluid tanks, which is FT, and I have cargo holds, which is CH. So on this vessel, I have both fluid tanks and cargo holds. You can see they alternate. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fluid tanks. I have 1, 2, 3 cargo holds. And the cargo holds are pretty simple. They're just ducts. I crammed as many of them as I can in between, the sections here. And the tanks are, of course, tanks. The tanks are subdivided to help with imbalances. So they do have vents at the bottom which cross connect them, but I separated them and this is the main tank. This is where everything pumps in and out. Um, but I did separate the tanks so that they were capable of handling, you know, simulated sloshing, so that one side would not be overloaded. Um, you know, if the boat was leaning, it would kind of hold it together. So that's the storage. I have fluid, 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 and then I have solid, solid, and solid. And the solids, as you can tell, the lids will remove. You can slide the lids out of the way to access the hoppers underneath. The bridge, I have a 3-bridge design as normal with my um, with my ships. However, in this event, let's get rid of that. Let's get to something that what was that one that? Here we go. Okay, so my bridge, I have a 3-bridge design, and now I used to use a toggle that would switch between the stations. So I could walk over to the station, click a toggle, and I'd be driving here. Then I could walk over here and click a toggle, and I'd be driving here. And so I could toggle back and forth between the 3 stations. That said, now that I'm getting more and more familiar with Lewis script and what it can do, I actually wrote a little control box for the steering that basically, since all these steering return to 0 when you're not using them, what it does is if any steering is not 0, it uses that input for the rudders. So if you stand at a steering wheel and you turn left, doesn't matter what steering wheel you're at, it's monitoring all 3. If you turn left at this steering wheel, it's gonna register. It's gonna register like positive, +1 or positive 0.5. It depends on what you have the sensitivity set to. It might go up slowly, um, but at any rate, what's going to happen is it's going to take that input. It's going to ignore the ones that are still 0. It's going to take that input and it's going to send that out to the rudders. So it's basically a highest or lowest. If it's sitting at 0, it ignores it. If it's above 0 or below 0, then it takes that into account and uses that. Now I haven't figured out yet what happens if 2 people try to steer at the same time, because I don't play in multiplayer, so I haven't figured that out yet. But I do think that I programmed it in to take that into account. It's kind of like as soon as the first one is seen, ignore the other 2. So it's kind of like a first come first serve. Whoever starts controlling first is the one that has control until they return it to 0 and the whole system basically resets. The throttle controls were a little more tricky. I have a control for throttle at each station and a control for gear shifting, basically forward and reverse and neutral, at each station. So what I had to do was develop and I did this in Lewis script as well, I had to develop a controller that would mirror any movements at one station. It would automatically mirror those movements at the other stations. That was a ridiculously difficult thing for me to figure out, but I got it. It works with a little margin of error, because you have to kind of leave a dead zone. Otherwise, the controller, because these go up and down by button press, there is not really any way to get them perfectly exact, like down to the 5th decimal point. So you have to build in a buffer. They're not going to be exact, but they're going to be close enough that it's not going to matter. So I could have like this one at let's say 0.25617, and this one will go to 0.256, and forget about the 17. It doesn't make a difference in the long run. We're not doing anything that accurate with them. We're controlling throttle, which is 0 to 100, and we're controlling forward and reverse, which only basically, if it's above 0.2 reverse, if it's above negative point or below negative 0.2 reverse, but if it's above 0.2 forward. That's all it does for that control. I have a little Display set in here. This is another thing another little program I wrote, Lua program. It's basically just a generic GPS. It doesn't get you anywhere. It just shows you an overlay map and kind of points what direction you're going in, sort of puts a dot on the screen and a little arrow to point where you're going. So that's basically the bridge. I haven't really done anything with the decks yet going down, um, except for the engine room. The engine room I've worked on, but I'm not gonna spoil that party. And the stacks are stacks because we have diesel engines in this thing, and I finally, it took me 2 days. I finally nailed down the engine control system um, for a large engine. Uh, medium engines and whatnot, they're going to have different control systems. They're going to have different RPMs that you want them to run at and all that stuff. But for the large engines, I finally nailed down a system where it takes into account propeller pitch, it takes into account clutch pressure, and it takes into account air and fuel ratios, all that stuff, and it works. And it keeps the RPMs low. It doesn't let the engine rev right the hell out. It keeps the RPMs low to conserve fuel. So I think I have it set so it only goes, I believe, a maximum of 18 RPS. Under full load, I think we're down to 11, if I remember correctly. But you'll get to see that, and you'll actually get to see the smokestacks that actually work. These are all outs, by the way. These are all outs. The reason I went with these is because they kind of give a little bit of a puff, whereas these guys here give more of a shootout. So what you're going to see is you're going to actually see a column of smoke behind, instead of like the weird Stormworks smoke. It actually makes a decent column of smoke behind it, just like you would see on your average freighter, if they were putting out smoke. I do have catalytic converters installed on the lines, and I do have it kind of a bypass system built in, but it doesn't really work that well. So that is that. But anyways, I haven't finished painting it, as of course, because I've not done it. But I did want to show where I'm at. So let's get to it. Let's show you where I'm at. And the interesting thing about this ship is, regardless of its size, it's actually not running that bad. My Stormworks is actually running pretty good with it. Well, and then I opened my mouth. Because most ships this size, my computer bogs down, but look at this. It's nice and smooth. Like, I'm not really lagging at all. Okay, so these are the liquid ones. They have a pump in and a pump out on them, and they have two hose connectors, and it's mirrored on both sides. So it's mirrored on this side. These pipes are connected to these pipes. Technically, you could pump something in and pump something out on the other side. Well, actually, you can't really do that. Well, you could if the pumps were external to the ship. Like if you had out pumps over here, and you hooked up to that, and you had like in pumps over here on the dock, and you were pumping into that, you could pump right through the ship without going into the holding tank. But anyway, so then we have these. These are the bulk storage. Oh, I forgot to. Oh, that's gonna be a fun task, going through every. Oh God, I gotta go through every single thing and remove all the coal from it. Damn. Okay, I forgot that when you put them in, they have a full load of coal. Ah, crap. Okay. Anyway, you press the toggle button, and I purposely made it so these move relatively slow. I didn't want them jumping all over the place, and I didn't want them using a hell of a lot of power. The higher you set these motors to operate, the more power they use. So the lids slide nicely out of the way, right to there, so you can access the hoppers to load and unload. You can vacuum out. You can whatever you need to do, and then once it's done, you just put the hatch back in place, and you're good to go. These of course will not flood, so we don't have to worry about water getting down below or anything like that. So then we have the same thing, fluid. We have fluid, and then we have our cargo hold. Then we have fluid. Then we have a cargo hold. Then we have fluid. So I can take full loads of anything, basically, or I can take loads of two things. And you notice the front is buoyant right now. The front is high. That's on purpose because the thing floats high on the front. I wanted it to have enough buoyancy so that when all these tanks are full, it will of course probably float level. And I could correct with some ballast, but I've decided not to do that at this time. At least not in the sense of using ballast like water. Okay, so let's turn the lights on, and we'll go check out the bridge first, and then I'll take you to our so here's the bridge. Here's our main stations. We have each station has a speedometer, a compass ball, and a fuel level, so we can see our fuel levels, our compass, and all that. Our main station has a little GPS. You can see the red dot is us, and that little white arrow sticking off will show which direction we are headed. So right now we're pointed pretty much east. And then we have our little distance gauge here, which I believe that's 100 meters. And then we have our speed in meters per second, as opposed to our speed, here. And then of course we have our station over here, which is the same thing. All right, down to the engine room. Let's get this puppy go. Let's get this party started. So, as I said, we have various decks. I haven't done anything with the decks yet. So there's this deck, which this deck will probably have like the galley and stuff. And then we go down to the engine room. And the engine room is so tall. Well, it's kind of tall. It's probably about here-ish. There is an air gap between, but it's not tall enough for a deck. So I just made sure that we have a double staircase here heading down to the engine room. All right, welcome to the engine room. Huzzah! So we have two matching diesel engines, large diesel engines. They're 3-cylinder. You can see that the front is basically loaded with with alternators because power is a thing. And I also have a small generator back here, but I'm thinking of actually removing these small generators if I don't need them. I just installed them right now because I'm gaining very little power from the alternators. With that many alternators, I'm not actually gaining that much power. So I decided to hook up the little generators on the back here too. And I think the reason I'm not getting enough power is because I'm actually running a pump-driven or a motor-driven pump here to cycle fluid. And actually, you know what I just noticed? I have that wrong. That is actually supposed to be down here. It's supposed to be pumping. Oh no, because I have pumps under the floor that pump in. Okay, I have pumps under the floor pumping the cold water, and this circulates the warm water. Yeah, okay. Which I could do from a actual pump right here. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's get this show on the road. That's for another day. So it shows I have a nice display, which I could do more with this display. I just haven't yet because displays are not a thing that I'm really up on. I haven't really mastered displays yet. So I have the engine status. I have the engine temperature, battery, RPS. CL and PP. Oh, the clutch and the propeller pitch. So that's the engine clutch, which is this guy, and the propeller pitch, which is the on the prop out there. You can pitch the propellers, and this is our engine load. When this bar gets full, we are bogging down the engine like crazy, and she go output black smoke. And then this down here is just a little tachometer. Which I kind of want to get rid of the bottom half. I kind of just want to half it, but right now all I know really how to do is draw a circle for that. So draw circles and draw squares or rectangles. So over here, I try to simulate bogging down right by this right here. I think I need to put some more catalytic converters in it though. Basically, when the engine's bogged down, It just kind of simulates that by switching to a straight pipe, so there's more smoke going through. And then when the engine's running, decently normal with no real load on it, it switches back to the catalytic converter pipe. So it shuts this pipe off, turns this pipe on, lets the exhaust go out the catalytic converter. So on the outside, it kind of simulates, heavy smoke or low smoke, depending on how much of a load we got on the engine. I thought that was just a little fun addition. And we are cooling passive liquid heat, so the cold ocean's coming in, going back out on the other side, and then our engine's cycling through that, just to keep our engine cool. Basically, on the other side of this wall is our fuel tanks. There are 4 of them, but they are combined just like the fluid storages. So there's 4 storage tanks, but they are combined, and they kind of go from side to side of the ship. So no going beyond here. As far as going into the front section of the ship, nah, she's off limits. I could probably put a walkway, like if I really wanted to go down the center of the ship and maybe put maybe like a storage room or something at the front with maybe a ladder access to the deck. I could do that. I could probably squeeze that through, but I haven't done it. I don't know if I will. But anyways, let's get our engine started up, because our battery's drained just sitting here. So the first thing we got to do is open our fuel valve, because she ain't gonna start with no fuel valve. And the button and the keyboard are basically just for looks here, because it looked really silly just having a key. So our engine fires up, and then there we go. Our tack is coming up. Our RPS is at a nice little 17, and she's running. Engine 1 is up and running, and you can see I am gaining power a little bit, just a little bit. Now, once I'm moving forward and reverse, that little bit is amplified quite a bit. But right now, we're not doing anything, so we're just sitting here. The drive shaft out the back here is connected from side to side, so if I have one engine down, the other engine will run both propellers. So the engines are separate, but their drive shaft is linked at the back, which kind of helps them tag team the propellers should they need to. You can run on one engine. It's very labored, but you can run on one engine. Fire up the second one. Oh, you're gonna need fuel. We got a nice stoichiometric fuel ratio there. Nicely monitored and managed. This one's up. We got our little tack reading here. We're good. We're good. Everything's up and running. All right. Seal our engine room before we head back up. And you will hear the engines bogged down because of those little generators. If I didn't have the generators on there, they wouldn't actually bog down as much as they do. The generators in this game, for some reason, they put an absolutely ridiculous amount of stress on motors. Like, even a giant motor can be just stressed right out by a little tiny electric motor. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. Or electric generator. There's so much resistance in the generators. Anyway, so let's you can see we're up and running. You can see our propellers aren't moving. Our propellers are in a flat position because we have not engaged them at present. If I throttle up, you can see it's kind of interesting. Our propellers will start spinning. We will not go anywhere because it is all controlled forward and reverse, so we can actually rev up our propellers while we're at the dock here, and you can see how little smoke's coming out. Because right now we're not labored, we're not really putting the guns to her. I could probably get full power, and she's still not gonna. Yeah, because we're not actually doing any work right now. So the engines are just kind of putting. All right, let's bring her down. Let's throw her in forward and start throttling up. Now she's going to move out somewhat slowly until I have her at full throttle, and at full throttle you can see we're still in low cat mode. This is still low cat mode. Or this, I should say, this is still in cat mode. We're still running on the catalytic converter. When I crank her all the way up, and she goes to full engine load on the... What's our engine load like? Yeah, see, our engine load's not that high right now. That's that green bar at the bottom. We're at about 20% engine load right now. The engines will constantly try to maintain 18 RPS. So right now we're at 16. Our engine load's 20%. Not too bad. Let's fire it up. Oh, listen to that chug. Okay, so we fired it up. We're moving now. Wow, technically speaking, we're moving. We're moving at 10. The engines are, you can see the engines are just, they're like, hey, we're hammering. And you'll be able to see the smoke outside. She's just pouring out now. Simulating that we have got the hammer down. And she's smoking. But look at the wake. Look at the wake off this boat. Almost nothing. Almost nothing. It's a very, 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 very light wake. And our propellers, of course, are moving us ahead. They're tilted forward. Now, the best thing about tilted propellers is, when you go forward, you go reverse, they always turn the same direction. So, I can go like this, full reverse, and the engine doesn't even realize it's happening. Well, I mean, it kind of does because it goes through neutral, but as far as the engine bogging down, it doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't go into a heavy bog down because I'm not stopping the propeller and shifting directions, like having it completely shift into reverse as if I was using a gearbox. Angling the propellers keeps the engine turning the same speed, keeps the drive shaft turning the same speed, so there's no heavy propeller to stop. It just keeps on going. So I'm going to do a turn here. I'm going to execute a turn here, which will get a tiny bit of a tilt. And you'll see our GPS will show that, hey, we're turning. Now the GPS isn't that zoomed out, because I found when I'm really zoomed out, I lose a lot of definition. You can make out land masses, but there's no definition to them. It's just like if the island's really broken up. Some islands you actually don't even look like they are. Like the one island looks like it had a lake in the middle of it when I had it zoomed in all the way, or zoomed out all the way, and there was no lake on that island. So we'll see this island coming up here soon enough on our GPS screen, and I still have to play with this. I don't know if I'm going to keep it at this zoom or not. I might zoom it out a little bit more. Right now it's at 50%. I know zooming it all the way out to 100% is, like I said, you can see a lot, but there's no detail to it, so it's almost useless. Is this map even going to show up on our screen? We should be within viewing distance of it by now. Oh, no, there it is. So yeah, I'm probably going to mess with the zoom. Maybe give myself a little more of a zoom out, so I can better see, you know, the islands. But I wanted a small screen. That was the goal, to have a small screen. So the bigger the screen, of course, the more you can see on it, the more you can display on it. But yeah, so this is the project I've been working on lately. Just the engine control was the biggest nightmare. It was ridiculously hard to get a stable engine control that would not allow the engine to stall. it flexes it actually flexes the propeller and the clutch to keep the engine from stalling. I of course gave it a little bit of a curveball when I threw the generators on there, because it doesn't know it's got generators on the line. It doesn't know I put the generators on, these guys. And they're not really outputting much anyways. You can see my electricity's dropping. So I don't even know if they're useful. Because like I said, my energy right now is dropping. The only way I'd probably make energy is to put my propellers on. If I switch my props to neutral, I might make power, but right now I'm not making any power here. I'm losing power, which isn't good, you know. So, not good. And for some reason, looks like we got a... What's the bubbles for? Oh! That's coming from the gas tank. Crossing the wall in the gas tank. Because we're sucking gas. So we're at full bog down. You can see our tachometer is just chugging. Zero is this way. See our tach's just chugging. We're down to 11 RPS, and just hammer on. But our throttle's not fully open either. So because we're trying to maintain, you know, a certain RPS, our throttle is not sticking open. So our engines are bogged down, yes, but we're sipping fuel. Where's the fuel? That's not what I'm looking for. What am I looking for? Where is it? Where was it? I was looking at one spot that was actually showing stable. It was showing us the fuel was stable. And it was just kind of, I wasn't drinking it. Oh, maybe it was here. But it is drinking it now because we're full throttle. Kind of drinking it. We got a lot of fuel, so I'm not really too worried. That's why there's no rear. That's why there's no additional tank right here. That's why I left this area blank. It was because I needed space for the fuel tanks. There's also a few other things in the superstructure that are kind of noteworthy. There's a two-way balance system, so it balances both front to back as well as side to side. So it handles roll and pitch. But it's limited. As far as pitch goes, it's limited in what it can do because this is such a long vessel and it's got such a dynamic buoyancy to it, you know, with the ability to load and unload cargo, basically fill the ship up, or flood the ship, I should say. But let me see if I can take you on a view inside from here. I think I can. All right, so here's our tank. This is our one tank, our front tank. You can see the lines coming out of it, going up to the top, and it's a decent size. This here is our balance system. It has the ability to roll all the way from front to back. You can see it goes way back. And then back there, like back there in the hull, back there, and that orange thing back there is our side to side. So it swings side to side or front to back. I have two balance systems way down in the hull here to basically help keep the boat from being at awkward, weird angles. So, and that's our side to side. Basically, it's just lightly PID controlled. I was gonna write a more detailed Lua to basically do the PID, make the PID a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? Make it a little softer, so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't do the alternating back and forth thing. Because when you use an actual PID, they're known for that. They'll do
they'll alternate back and forth. They'll do a little ballet. They won't necessarily sit in a spot. They'll do this ballet where they just go back and forth, without really resting. But we wrote a PID for the coal train, the steam-powered coal train, or coal-powered steam train. We wrote a PID for that, which balances the temperature on that train really nicely. And that PID can be scaled and moved to different things because all it is a PID, basically. It's not really a PID. It's math calculations that do a little bit of a better job than a PID. But you can see the just bouncing all over the place here. The boat's not necessarily rolling that much, but you can see our weight is moving quite a bit. And that, of course, chews up power too. So putting a more stable weight on the boat would definitely help with the energy use. So I'm gonna sock it to us and just hit us with full wind. See how she handles rough seas. I have not done this yet, so this could be entertaining. I haven't thrown the tsunami seas at it yet to see how it would handle them. Oh, that's a big wave coming. That's gonna roll us. Oh shit. That actually propped our propellers out of the water? Wow, okay. Alright, let's get a turn going here, turn into the waves and see how we handle the waves head on. Of course we gotta take a broadside first. Oh shit. She ain't no 1,000-foot Great Lakes freighter, man, but she's she's pretty decent, I think. It's the maximum size the standard build areas allow. So we'll turn her into the waves here. She's nice and responsive. I haven't felt the need yet to put bow thrusters on it. I might do that anyways. Whoa, we got air. I might put bow thrusters on it. Listen to the motor. Listen to the motor just handle those changes. It's like, yeah, we're in water, we're out of water, we're in water, we're out of water. We don't care. We don't care. We'll manage your motor. Woo! But yeah, I did a lot of scouring online. Holy crap. She's just a bobbin'. I did a lot of scouring online to find information on what the best fuel economy, where the best fuel economy was, and there was a lot of people that were saying 18 RPS on these big engines gets you pretty much the best fuel economy you can ask for. So that's what I did. I set them to 18. I could adjust that. I could go higher or lower. I don't think I'd want to go any lower because the way they're bogging down. But I could take them higher. I could set them higher, especially in situations where it is getting bogged down. I could say, you know what, put the hammer to it, open up the fuel, let her in. Because right now it's, like I said, it's managing the fuel right now, and it's only giving it about 20% gas, which means it's only giving it about 70% air? No, it's only giving it 40% air, because air is double gas. So since we're giving it double air, yeah, air would only be at 40% right now. So these engines have a lot more to them. We're just trying to maintain the fuel economy. The fuel tanks, I don't know if I can zoom into the fuel tanks or not. They are, oh, there you go. That's not a fuel tank. Where's the fuel tank? Back. Oh, it's close. There's the fuel tank. So you can see the fuel tank stretches side to side on the inner hull. And it's hard to view.
inside them, but you can see we're just barely moving from this. There's a fuel tank. Camera's hard to, especially in these waves. Damn it, the waves has got us all screwed up right now. All right, cutter. We've passed our sea trial. So the fuel tanks are here. You can see, like I said, there's 1, 2, and then there's on the other side there's 3 and 4. And if you look at them, you can see that we got fuel, and then fuel and fuel, and the fuel supposedly goes down at the same rate. Doesn't always. You can actually see this tank's drawing faster than the other tanks. So, but the tanks are linked. Actually, the center tanks are going down faster than the outside tanks are. So, I might have to eventually link them all together, maybe on the outside, instead of having them kind of crisscross, you know. Kind of do their own fluid transfer. Because right now I just have valves between them. Right now there's just, it's kind of set up like this, how you have the vents on the one tank, the vents on the other tank, and just a pipe between them. That's basically just crosses over. There's no pump. This just crosses over. So I might eventually have to look into putting pumps that I can pump back and forth, or just take out the center walls altogether. But I'd rather try to keep the system the way I've designed it. Is this my island? Are we back at my island? I don't think this is my island. This is another island. Is this my island? Oh yeah, there's that little island. I did a loop. Anyway, so this has just been a little bit of a view at what I'm working on, projects that I got going. You know, I got my coal-fired steam train project that I've pretty much wrapped up. It's pretty much good to go. The only thing I kind of want to do with it is put a radio on it so I can trigger the tracks up ahead. But you can't really view the tracks up ahead, so it's really hard to view those little dots. I wish they weren't such little dots. I wish they were like much larger icons, so you could see what track was active before you got there. Because these little tiny lights, you can't see them until you're almost on top of them. I don't have these turned on, but you kind of get the idea. They, you know, even at this range, that dot would be very, very difficult to see. And you know, if you're traveling along in a train, doing, you know, 50 to 70, you can't see that. You can't see that until you're past it. So we're moving into the dock here. I'll start backing down. You hear the motors pick back up again because the gear shifter has switched out of high gear. It's only in high gear when I'm full throttle. So you hear it kick. There it is. At 95 she kicks. If I'm not at 95, it's just running simple 1-to-1. And our engines come back up. And that's when we gain power. We only lose power when we're hammering it. So we're going to bring our speed down and start swinging us in. And I do think I could probably zoom out a little bit on this map. One thing I really wish this game had was conveyor belts, because I would love to put a self-unloader crane right up the center of the deck. And maybe figure out a way to hook the cargo holds together. That way I can just offload them all through the one self-unloader. That would be great. That would be awesome. You see, we're barely moving here. Our engines are nicely kicked up. They're running smooth again. And barely moving, so we can get into the dock. I need to put on, I need to do a whole lot with this ship yet. like I said, the thing I do, the way I build ships is, well, actually, the way I build anything really is to get the body down, get the basics of the body down. Um, Especially for a ship, you want to have the hull shape, and then after that, once I have the body shaped, uh, then I start getting into technical. I want to nail down all of the really complicated technical stuff before I get too committed to, decorating and all that stuff. So with this one, I had to build the tower because I needed a console because I needed to install the stations on the console. That's the only reason this thing's got a tower right now. And I needed to build the engine room, of course, so I could build the engines, place the engines, and work on their control system. So now that I have that stuff all worked out, I can kind of move on to we're at low puffs again. Now that I have that stuff all worked out, and the same with the cargo holds, I had to figure out the cargo holds um, before before I built more of the interior because I had to figure out where am I putting the fuel tank, where am I putting the cargo, so I had to figure all that stuff out before I got too committed to it. And our bridge is just a tiny bit not tall enough here. But we can still land this thing. Alright, bring her down neutral. And we'll bring ourselves into neutral transmission. And you can see the lever moving over there. As I move the lever here, you can see it moving over there. That actually took so much work to get that to work properly. Alright, we are on the dock. I should say at the dock. Head down to our engine room once more. Whoops. Oh, they're hot. They are hot. Our engines are cooking. They shouldn't be, but they are. Why are they cooking? Or is that where this? Yeah, I got fluid flowing through it. I don't want to run these pumps at full, so I only have them set to 20%. Because the more you run them, the more power you use. So our heat exchanger is actually not doing too bad. It's only 32 degrees. Our engines are a little warm though. They've definitely warmed up. Alright, let's shut her down. Engine 1 spinning down. And 2. Fuel cut. And there we go. And you'll hear the propellers still spinning because they have a lot of spin down it. Especially when they're not, especially when they're set neutral. Because there's no real drag against them. Oops. Get our lights here. Now the balance system I might set it as a toggleable, so I can toggle it on and off. Because it uses up, it's basically the chief cause of the power usage right now, because everything else is pretty much turned off. Even the GPS on the bridge right now is turned off, because it's triggered when a player gets nearby. It doesn't stay on all the time. Which is really the best way to handle displays. Turn them off if nobody's nearby to watch them. Because that'll save you on a hell of a lot of leg. So here we are at the dock. Nice little round trip. This is the fuel tank breather, by the way. This is where the fuel tank breathes, or I should say, fuel tanks. Let's go check out our slowly spinning props back here. You can see they're still at 0, so the boat's not going anywhere. But they do have a spin to them still. So they will slowly spin down and then eventually stop. And our engines are down. You can tell there's no smoke coming out of the engines. But we are all good. Oh, well, didn't make that jump. So we're all good. Quick water trial, and then back to dock. All right, so taking you inside the ship, like I said, we have back here. We have there we go. So this is the space that's above our engine room. This is why I said I can't put the stairs in because there's not really any room here. These are my controllers for. Come on. These are my controllers for. This one here is for the. Let's go back to this. This controller here is for the throttle. This control here is identical, but this one here is for the shifter, for forward, reverse, whatever. This makes sure that they stay in sync. This here is for the steering, to synchronize the steering, and then I have a constant on for what's the constant on for? Oh, a couple of pumps, the fuel pumps, a couple of fuel pumps. Here's my fuel tanks back here. We got 4 fuel tanks. This on top here is a microcontroller I made to basically just calculate percentage. So it reads uh, a fluid, not a fluid spawner. It reads a fluid. This guy. So it takes the liquid capacity, it takes the fluid capacity, and then it takes how much liquid's in there, and it calculates out the percentage out of 100. So it'll automatically, you can just throw that to a dial and have the dial 0 to 100 instead of my usual thing where I'm like, oh shit, now I have to I have to spawn it in and go, okay, what's the fill level, and then I got to go back to the dial and type that in, and then if I make any changes to the tank at all, like one little block, I have to go back and say, okay, well, how much fluid can this tank hold now? And then I have to go back and put that back in the dial, you know. So instead of doing that, I said to hell with that. I'm not doing that anymore. I had so many tanks on this boat. There's so many fluid tanks on this boat that I was like, I am not running to every one of these tanks, recording how much liquid they can handle, and then come back just to put it on a dial. That's not happening. So that's why I wrote that the little code block. That, like I said, it takes the all it needs is a fluid sensor. It takes the content level, it takes the tank capacity, and outputs the percentage. How full is it? 20%, 30%, 40%. That's what it outputs. Uh, and then I have those running because I have 4 tanks. I have those running through an averager, so it'll average the tank levels, which will still give me an accurate percentage. Because if this tank's 50%, this tank's 30%, it'll still give me and calculate me out an average that I can use to show my fill level without having to go, oh, how much is in here? How much is in here? But look at these. Look at the storage, the bulk storage units. Now I got to go through every single one of these, and pull down the coal level to 0. Oh God! Somebody please help me. So yeah, I got to go through and change every single one of these. Thankfully, I used large ducts where I could fit them, so that's not too bad. I can just slide those, but I have so many small ducts here that I just gotta have to go through the whole ship, change all those to 0, um, and then add the power plant in the front. But as you can see, up at the front, I do have a decent space here. I do have a decent cavity up here at the front where I could put, a room, and I could link it to the upper deck. The question would be, can I get hallways from the engine room down the side of the ship? And I mean, not really, because I have my swing bar here, or my weight bar that travels from back to front. So I can't really, unless I come up over that bar here. I would have to take
I'd have to take these guys out all the way down the ship. But that would be doable, because this is basically wide enough for a hallway. This is 3 wide, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, all you need for a player is 3 wide. So I could technically take these guys out and put a hallway straight from back to front. And in that event, I could have a little storage room up front here, or I don't know, maybe I could put a display, inventory management display showing, what's on, not what's on board, but how much is on board and how much space we have and all that kind of stuff. There's a few ways that I could do it. No, I did end up flipped upside down. There's a few ways I can do it, whereas to this space up here becomes useful. Right now I just have the ship's main battery here. But I could make this front space useful, which would add a little bit more weight to the front, bring it down a little bit more. Because with these coal tanks full and the fluid tanks empty, right now this guy's all the way to the front. I haven't tried though. Hold on. I have not actually, and this could be a little bit of a wake up call. Wait, is that a fluid spawner? No. Oh, that's a fluid level. I have not seen how this tank is, or how these tanks, what my floating level is, I should say. Damn. With the fluid tanks full as well. So let's take a quick peek at how she floats when the fluid tanks are full. So we got that one. That's the front one. And we're just gonna fill it with diesel for now. That's the front one. That's the middle one, or that's the second one. The third one. I'll have to remove these later, but whatever. It's valid for a test. So that's that one. We'll see how this sucker floats when she's full. Like, right full. She's full of coal right now, but she doesn't have any liquid in her. And the liquid's the heavy stuff. Alright, so that'll fill all 4 tanks. Let's see what happens. So we'll have all four storage tanks full of diesel. We'll have all 4 storage cargo holds, or all 3 cargo holds filled with coal. So let's see how this sucker floats now, if she floats. That is amazing. She is still front light. She is still light in the front. So I could just add weight blocks to bring the front down. Because she's now full. She's full. I can't load any more cargo on here. Wait, why does that show empty? Oh, I might not have even hooked that up. I may not have hooked this up, because this is tank 2. I think tank 1, no, tank 1's not hooked up either. But there's definitely fluid in there, is there? I don't know. We'll have to check. Maybe I didn't hook those up. Why did I hook the gauges up? I get the ADHD spin where I start working on one thing and then all of a sudden I'm working on something else. So let's see if these tanks got anything in them. Are they empty? They're empty. Why are they empty? Shouldn't be empty. Should be full. Wait a minute. Okay, home? Is it home? Yeah. Let's fly into one of these tanks. Here. Should get a sploosh when I'm in here. Home. Why is there no fluid in? Oh, I put liquid meters in. Dang it. I put liquid meters instead of liquid spawners, or fluid spawners. No wonder she's floating high. Crying out loud. Let's get back to this. I need to erase those. I need to erase those and replace them. So let's get rid of those. We've got spawner. That's what I want, you stupid. Alright. Let's get rid of the meters. Put in the spawner. Now she's gonna float different. Guarantee she's gonna float different now. All right, last tank. Last tank. That inside that, and now we got spawner. Boom. Hey, boom. Okay, now we should be full. Spawn. I'm not gonna save it because I don't want to. I don't actually want to save it with those in there. Excuse me. All right, let's see how she floats now. I'm betting nose down, completely sunk. Well, that's still not bad. That's still not bad at all. And just to verify, we should actually be getting a reading on our gauges now. Yeah, she's full. Okay, so we got a full tank here, full tank here, full tank, full tank, full tank, full tank, and full tank. So we are now as full as we can possibly get. And yes, she is riding a lot lower. And I think our balancer has balanced us out now. I think we've actually balanced out to almost level, which is nice. This tower in the back is heavy, just FYI. But I think we're pretty balanced. Let's go to the exterior view. Yeah, we are smoking. We are damn level. How's our floater? It is way at the back. It is pretty well. It's not way at the back. It's about centered. It is about centered. Like, see that dark area right there on the track? That is where it starts. That dark area. So I technically don't need to have the back section behind that. But yeah, it is front to back balanced. Not even that far ahead. It's pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. So yeah, well, look at that. Fully loaded, she floats low and level, just like a real lace raider. But when she's empty, she got her snout in the air because I don't have enough weight to counterbalance all that buoyancy it's got. It's got a ton of buoyancy. I could, like I said, put a ballast tank, but then I'm kind of opening myself up to, well, if the ballast tank leaks, then my double hull doesn't mean a damn thing. So, plus I don't. In order to get level, I'd have to pump in the ballast of the entire load that I can carry. So, I mean, it's just easier to fill it up. But yeah, there you go. So that gives you a good look at what I've been working on. Hopefully you get some ideas, and hopefully you like it. I don't know if I'll be making the code available. I probably will, but it's got to go through quite a few refinements still. Specifically, the engine coding, I gotta do some more work with the displays, and the GPS, of course, is I gotta fix the zoom on it so it's actually a little more useful. The other stuff I might look into putting on the workshop, but for now, I'm just showing it off. So take care, everybody. This is Jodian signing off. I'll see you next time. Bye bye now.